welcome to today's episode of Edible Eric Eats. The weather today is a little kind of dreary, it's a little rainy outside. I figured today we would do something that would warm your belly and warm your soul. So we're going to do some braised brisket today. So I have all my ingredients right here. We're all mixed up, I prepped everything out. First thing we're going to do is sear this brisket. So we're going to put a little salt and pepper on this. You see I'm doing it from up high. I want the salt to spread out nice and evenly. A little bit of pepper. We're going to hit both sides. As you can see here, I've taken my brisket and I've trimmed a lot of the fat off of it already. Brisket comes with a lot of fat on there. You don't want all that fat on there. You want some to help keep it moist. I've also cut it into the two parts of the brisket. This part, the flat part, is known as the first cut, and then this part is known as the dackel. The dackel always has a ton of fat in it. There's always a big piece of fat running through it. But those are the two different parts of that. I cut it just because I wanted to make it a little easier to fit in my pan. So we're gonna sear all sides. We got our brisket seared off. In the pan, we've drained off a little bit of the fat. We've left some. Then we're going to add some of our vegetables in here. We're going to start getting those cooking a little bit. Get a little caramelization on them. We got our onions going. Now we're going to set up the pan for the brisket. So I cut the potatoes into wedges. I like them in wedges. You cut them however you want. But remember, they're going to cook for a while. So you want to cut them. You want to leave them a little bit bigger. I'm just going to put them in here and use them as the bed for the brisket. So all the brisket flavor kind of melds into there and gets into the potatoes. You can see, I don't mind if a little bit of the water from the potatoes gets on there, but I'm not using it, so I'm not too worried. We're going to add in our brisket, set it on top of the potatoes. We started our onions, they're going a little bit. We're going to add the rest of our veg in there. Got a little bit of carrots, a little bit of celery, and some mushrooms. I left all of these a little bit big because they're going to cook for a few hours. So you don't want to get it too, you don't want it too small so they turn into mush and disintegrate. And you can see with the mushrooms, I washed them. Wash your mushrooms. I don't care what people tell you, mushrooms go in shit. Alright? Wash them. We've been cooking the veg for a little bit now. Come get a look at this. Starting to get some color on it. Okay. We're starting to get some color on it. It's looking pretty good, pretty tasty. Now we're going to add our garlic. And our dried spices. We got a little paprika, oregano, a little more pepper, a little thyme, a little dried thyme. Now we're going to cook this for another minute or so. Dude, smell that. And now we're going to add our tomato paste to let it get a little caramelization on it. we ever seared beef in the pan. And there's two main reasons why we sear things. First, it's aesthetics. It makes it look better. A well-seared piece of meat looks far better than just a gray, bland piece of meat. Second is something called the Maillard reaction, and in all intents and purposes, all it does is just make everything taste better. It's a chemical reaction that happens that just amps up and strengthens the flavor of the food you're going to eat. And now back to the vegetables. The vegetables have been kind of searing away. They're getting a little color in the pan. Now we're going to add the last couple ingredients. We have brown sugar. Yes, brown sugar. And we have ketchup. And yes, ketchup. You will notice after the ketchup and the sugar cook down, it adds the sweetness. The ketchup, along with the tomato paste, adds a little bit of a deep flavor of umami. We're going to mix this in. Now we're ready to deglaze. Deglazing, what it's going to help us do is get all what's called the fond off of the pan and into this sauce, again, which is going to help deepen the flavor. So all that stuff, you want to get it off the pan. Get all those little bits off the sides of the pan. I'm rubbing across the bottom to make sure I can get all the little bits off the bottom of the pan. This looks ready to go. We're going to get this out of the pan and the brisket. So this is going all over the brisket. I'm going to spread it around. We're going to add a little bouquet garni in here. Again, I like coffee filters. We have rosemary, thyme, sage, parsley in here. We're just going to roll it up. We're going to take this, tuck it down in the liquid. Careful, it's hot. Now, we're going to wrap this. I put the container up close to the plastic wrap so I can minimize the amount that I'm using. Got a plastic wrap and a piece of foil. Everything is in here, and now it's ready to go in the oven at about 325, 350 degrees for about 3.5 hours. Again, check your oven. Oven times vary, oven heats vary. Just check your beef. You'll know it's done when it's tender, but not just falling completely apart. So, into the oven, 325. Alright, so this brisket's been cooking for about 4 hours at 350 degrees. We're about to check it, see if it's ready. And you can smell like the aromas, the caramelized sugars of it. Look at that. Now let's check to see if it's done real quick. The brisket is tender, so we don't need to do anything else right now, but let it rest for about 20 minutes, let it cool down a little bit, then we're going to take it out. So our brisket has rested, and now we're going to take it out of the jus. Now you want to cut across the grain. Ouch, it's hot. So you can see how it falls apart. We have let this cool down completely. We're going to remove the two pieces of brisket from here and show you how easy it is to cut when it's cold. And if you look in the pan, you can see the fat congeals and separates, making it pretty easy to at least get most of it out of there. Now that this is congealed, you'll see how easy it is to cut and how much nicer the slices are and less tearing you have on the meat. It comes out in nice slices. You can put that, take that and, put it in a sandwich, heat up, put it in a sandwich like that. Or, like we're going to do, put it back in the jus, put it back in the oven, and let it heat up. All right. Now, you grab a spoon, and you can scrape off a lot of this fat. You will lose a vegetable or two, but you can always throw this fat into a pot, melt it down, and strain off the vegetables, and then add them back in here. You can also take this fat, melt it down, and use it as your fat in a roux. If you're making, say, a gravy or a velouté. It's all cut up, And now we're gonna throw it in the oven just to warm it up. I'm not gonna cover it because again, we're just heating this through so we can sit down and have dinner. So we've heated up our brisket and we're gonna take it out of the oven now and plate up some. So you can see we have a plate here with the dackel and then the first cut. The first cut has a little bit of fat on the top left, and you can see the bit of fat in the dackel. We scooped out some potatoes and some veg. Then it's gonna eat like a hearty, delicious stew. Next time it gets chilly, you know how to cook up some brisket. Go ahead. You won't be disappointed you did. Try it, enjoy, and grow on, guys.